ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهون قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين، والصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ملعونين. أما بعد، قال المعصوم عليه السلام: فإن السنة قد أميتت وإن البدعة قد أحييت، إن تسمعوا قولي وتطيعوا أمري أهدكم سبيل الرشاد. For the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shahada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad wa Ajil Farajhum. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim, the one that has given us opportunity to once again sit in the remembrance of Abu Abdullah in these nights of reform. And every night we have spoken about the fadila of the morning of Abu Abdullah, how this remembrance occurred over not just post Karbala but prior to Karbala, how this azar started, how this system of mourning for Abu Abdullah began with the Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To date we have spoken about Nabi Adam, we've spoken about Hazrat Musa, we've spoken about Hazrat Sulaiman, amongst others Hazrat Nuh as well. Today I want to give to you a narration from Hazrat or about Hazrat Isa. Both of these again appear in the book Khasa'is al-Husayniyya of Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari. I should mention something about Khasa'is, that Khasa'is al-Husayniyya is those of you that can read Arabic or Farsi, and there is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a translation of it in Urdu as well. Those that can read it, this is an absolutely amazing book. You know, Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari is an individual who was very beloved to the Imam, did a number of a'mals that enabled him to be able to see the a'mal, or see the events of Karbala, as well as being an individual who, during his time as a student, was unable to recite the musibah of Abu Abdullah. No matter how much he tried, he'd sit down with a book and he'd read the maqtal, and no matter how much he tried, no one would cry in the masa'ib that he would recite. So one day he took his complaint to Abu Abdullah that, you know, I want to be from amongst the dhakirin of Sayyid al-Shuhada. I want to be from amongst those that recite the masa'ib of Abu Abdullah and people actually cry. And so that night he sees in his dream that he's in the desert of Karbala and he's standing outside a tent. From inside the tent, Habib ibn Madahir comes outside. Habib takes the hand of Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari, takes him inside, and he finds that Abu Abdullah is sitting there. Abu Abdullah turns to Habib and he says, Habib, give our guests some sweet. And so he gives him a mixture of flour and honey that is common to be consumed in that region, and he places it, Habib places it in the mouth of Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari. He says, when I awoke from my dream, I still had that taste in my mouth. He says, that night when I went upon the mimbar and I began reciting the Masa'ib, I realized I no longer needed the book of Maqtal. Rather, whatever I was reciting was making people weep constantly. And so then he goes on and he has his own book called Maqtal al-Shushtari. which again is only in Farsi at the moment, where it's a compilation of all the masa'ib and things that he recited. But this was one of the bestowals upon him by Abu Abdullah, that it gave him that tongue to be able to recite the masa'ib of Abu Abdullah. So within Khasa'is al-Husayniyah, he has a number of chapters that speak about the specific characteristics of Abu Abdullah. Before his birth, Abu Abdullah's relation to the prophets, Abu Abdullah's relation to the Quran, Abu Abdullah's relation to the Imam of our time. So all of these are within there. This narration of Hazrat Isa is also within Khasa'is al-Husayniyah. There are two. One of them is Hazrat Isa, as he's walking, he comes across with his Hawariyun to the land of Karbala. When he reaches Karbala, there is a lion there. That does not allow them to pass. The lion begins to speak to Hazrat Isa. He says to Hazrat Isa that I will not allow you to enter this land, for this is holy land, except those that send la'na upon the killers of Abu Abdullah. This is the incident that is narrated there. The second incident that he narrates is that Hazrat Isa would sit amongst his Hawariyun constantly and say to them that send excessive la'na upon the killers of Abu Abdullah. This is 600 years before the Holy Prophet of Islam. 600 years even before the Holy Prophet of Islam, and Hazrat Isa is telling his Hawariyun. Later on in the journey of Karbala, we find from when they leave from Karbala to Sham, along the way there is a synagogue that they come across, within which there is a plaque that has been inscribed upon a stone with 2 bayt of poetry. Those lines of poetry, and also in many of the maqatil, it says that these poetries or these 2 lines were recited constantly, and they followed the army of Yazid from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham, from the ghaib. They were unable to see who it is saying these things. There are many peculiarities, many things that happened as this caravan proceeded towards Sham. Many different incidents at various places. When they reach Wadi al-Nakhla, the crying of the Jannat in the night for Abu Abdullah. The following of a hand. They say that a hand would appear wherever the army would stop, and it would begin to inscribe upon the walls. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. This ayah that we recite, that there will be a time when the retribution will be taken from individuals. So what was written upon this stone was, does the ummah who killed Hussein still hold hope that his grandfather will do shafa'ah for them on Yawmul Qiyamah? This is that event. The event of Karbala is something that has been spoken about for millennia, even before the event of Karbala. And the point of narrating these small stories associated to the Anbiya is so that we, at least as youth, understand the importance of these gatherings, that we continue to find the same passion, the same fervor that our elders had in maintaining these majalis, in establishing these majalis within a country where there was no one else around, no other Muslims around, and they established these majalis. It is now the role of the youth that they must maintain these majalis and for the future generations. If we as youth do not have any connection, any love for the azadari of Sayyid al-Shuhada, for the majalis of Sayyid al-Shuhada, for the gatherings within our homes for Sayyid al-Shuhada, then we have to answer to the Imam of our time. It's not that this dhikr will stop. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran himself says that we have revealed this dhikr, and we will be the ones that shall maintain it. It is not upon us, but we have a duty to preserve these teachings, to preserve the event of Karbala for future generations. Yesterday, we spoke about the concept of bid'ah when the Imam in his letter says فَإِنَّ السُنَّةَ قَدْ أُمِيتَتْ, that the sunnah of the Prophet has been killed. And there وَإِنَّ الْبِدْعَةَ قَدْ أُحْيَتْ, and bid'ah has been given life. It has become rife within society. And we spoke about this idea of bid'ah, how this bid'ah began from the time of the Prophet, what certain things happened until the event of Karbala itself. And then, there's much to say of the various innovations that came post Karbala, and the innovations that continue. But we don't have time to go into that. Today, I want to look at the concept of rushd, of success, where Abu Abdullah says, "In tuti'u amri wa tasma'u qawli ahdikum sabil al-rashad," that if you listen to my speech, if you listen to what I say, and you obey my commands, I will take you towards success. I will take you towards success. What is this success? I want to try and analyze, try and understand it from a hadith, from the Quran, in order for to be able to reach a conclusion that at the end I want to give you 3 salient points that each and every individual can take and implement within their lives to be able to achieve rushd, to be able to achieve success. And this concept of or this idea of rushd, or this word of rushd, it's not, although I've been translating it as success, it is more than success. Rushd is maturity. It's taking something to its peak. It's total success in every single avenue, every single aspect of anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to Hazrat Ibrahim in the Holy Quran as Rashid. He refers to Shu'aib, Nabi Allah, as Rashid. Rashid or Rushd is this idea of total growth, total maturity in every aspect of an individual's life. For example, when a person plants a tree and it grows and it reaches its peak, you say that it has become mature. It starts to bear fruit. This is a mature tree. A human being, a child that is born, it grows, it reaches adulthood. You say that this child has matured. It has reached its peak. But outside of these definitions, rushd is far more, it's much deeper. We're trying to understand this word so that the words what Abu Abdullah is saying will become more profound for us. That what the Imam is actually saying, that he wants to take individuals to absolute perfection, to the peak of perfection. If an individual or an entity grows, but the head remains small, so their body grows and their head remains small, you can't say to that individual that this person has achieved maturity or has become is Rashid, is a person that has become totally successful in the physical realm. Or if there's a tree that grows and one branch is a lot bigger and the stem or the main part of the tree is small, you won't say that this tree is fully mature. You can't call it Rashid. Where Imam is saying, Ahdikum sabil al-rashad, I will take you to total success, total growth, to your absolute maximum potential. It's not that a person can say, right, I pray my salah on time and I'm regular with my salah, but I bad akhlaq. That's not rushd. That's not success. That's not a total perfection in every aspect of their spiritual and physical existence. A person can say, I have good akhlaq, but is a miser. That's not rushd. It's not perfection. Or I'm good with the Quran, I understand the Quran, I can recite it really well, but I bad akhlaq with my family members. That itself is not rushd. Abu Abdullah is saying, Ahdikum sabil al-rashad, I want to take you towards rushd. I want to take you towards this total satisfaction. A person that is Rashid is Kamil, is Insanul Kamil, is an individual that is absolutely perfect in all aspects of their spiritual being. There isn't, they're not lacking on either side. If you take the example of Amir al-Mu'mineen, on one side he's in the battlefield of Khaybar saying, أَنَا الَّذِي سَمَّتْنِي أُمِّي حَيْدَرَ, in front of Marhab, that I am the one whose mother has named him Haydar. I am the attacking lion of the deserts. That's Ali. On one side there is absolute courage in front of the most feared warrior of his time, but the same Ali at night, Mawla ya Mawla, Anta al-Qawiy wa ana al-Dha'if. You are the strong and I am the weak. This is rushd, that he possesses both aspects, courage, but at the same time weakness and fear at the time when it is required in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He loved the orphans, but not at the expense of his own family. There was equality. He showed love to the orphans. He aided the orphans, but at the same time, he helped raise his family. He helped provide for his family. One day, they say Amir al-Mu'mineen is walking and he's carrying some bags, and one of his ashab come towards him. They say, Ya Ali, let me carry it for you. Let me carry it for you. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to him, no, it is not your role, it is my role as the provider for my family, and every man must carry his own burden. It's not that we reach somewhere and we start thinking, okay, now someone should open the door for me, and when I walk in, everyone should stand for me, and you should say salam to me first before I say salam to you. Amir al-Mu'mineen was this individual that was kamil in every sense. Nothing is compromised in the person that is Rashid, that is totally successful, where Abu Abdullah is wanting to take us. That person is totally perfect on every part of his life spiritually. In Surah Jinn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this same concept. He brings this idea of rushd. The story behind it is that the Holy Prophet of Islam goes towards Ta'if for doing tabligh. The people of Ta'if were known for being exceptionally harsh towards the Holy Prophet. They began to attack the Prophet bloodied, injured, makes his way back towards Medina, and he stops in a place which some say that is the current site of where Masjid-e-Jinn currently is in Mecca. The Holy Prophet stays there overnight. The ashab, they become worried. The Holy Prophet was supposed to come back. The family members become worried, but he hasn't returned. When the morning comes, the Holy Prophet comes and meets up with them. Say, Ya Rasulullah, we were waiting for you all night. The Holy Prophet says, when I reached back from Ta'if and I rested at this place, the heads of the tribes of the jinn came to see me. And they came to ask me about the religion that I have brought about, the Holy Quran. And the Holy Prophet describes to them the meeting. But what is interesting about this whole meeting, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran raises, he says when the jinn asked, the Holy Prophet, told them about the Holy Quran, and then they replied, Inna sami'na Qur'anan ajaba, yahdi ila rushd. Says that this Quran that we have heard, this is a Quran that is so wonderful. We've never heard anything like it. It guides towards the right way, towards rushd, towards maturity, towards that peak of development of a human individual. So we believe in it. And they become Muslim at the hands of the Holy Prophet. And within the whole surah itself, it begins to explain, like the jinns explain to the Prophet about their life, about the societies that they live in, about the groups that exist within it. And you see 12 ayat in there where they're constantly saying, that we are like this, we are like this. And they're telling the Holy Prophet, and the Quran has written it all in there about the lives of the jinn and how they exist. And it's a topic that gets everyone really excited or exceptionally afraid. And then we start talking about no, don't talk about it. I get afraid. I don't want to. The jinns are below man. man is ashraful makhluqat. He's of the greatest of the creation of Allah. And the jinns rightly fear mankind. When we begin to fear them, then that's where the problems begin to start. But all of this thing that we have, don't go to the graveyard, or if you go under a tree at night, you'll get possessed. Or if you go into various cultures have various stories. If you go into the bathroom at night and run the water, you'll get possessed. Or if you do these various things, most of it is rubbish. By and large, it is rubbish. They keep themselves to themselves until someone starts to dabble in their realm. But that's a discussion for another day. And they explain to the Holy Prophet, we have two groups. From us, there are those that are Muslimun. وَأَنَّ مِنَّا الْمُسْلِمُونَ وَمِنَّا الْقَاسِطُونَ. That we have amongst us the Muslimun, we have those that submit to Allah, and some of those that are deviators. So whoever submits, فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ تَحَرَّوْا رَشَدًا. And so whoever submits, these are the ones that aim towards rushd. Again, they bring this word of rushd, that the one that submits achieves that success, that total and utter success. Submission brings rushd in a person's life. Where Sayyid al-Shuhada is saying, Ahdikum sabil al-rashad, I will take you towards absolute success. The Holy Quran is reaffirming that submitting to Allah will take you towards this success. In Ayatul Kursi, the Holy Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, the Holy Prophet says, in regards to Ayatul Kursi, he says, Sayyid al-Qur'anu Suratul Baqarah. The Sayyid of the Quran, the leader of the Quran is Surah Al-Baqarah. Was Sayyidul Baqarah Ayatul Kursi. And the leader or the head or what has more importance over Surah Al-Baqarah is Ayatul Kursi. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when speaking about Ayatul Kursi, he says if people knew what was hidden in the ayat, in Ayatul Kursi, they would always constantly be reciting it. The Holy Prophet said it was revealed to me. This Ayatul Kursi was revealed to me from underneath the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Within it, it contains the hidden treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two youth come to the Holy Prophet. They say to the Holy Prophet that we're going to travel, we're going to Sham, and we fear for our lives. We fear for the safety of our business and whatever that we're going to do. And the Holy Prophet replies to them, he says, do two things and you will be protected and nothing will harm you. The first is, before you sleep, every single night, recite the tasbih of my daughter Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And with it, after reciting it, recite Ayatul Kursi. He says nothing will harm you. This Ayatul Kursi, within it, it's recommended to recite it every single morning. That a person wakes up, before they start their day, recite Ayatul Kursi. For that affords you the protection of Allah and brings barakah within your holy life. One ayah from it that we recite is La ikraha fi din. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. That there is no compulsion in religion and the right path is distinct and clear from error. Now this particular ayah was revealed when an individual by the name of Abu Hassin comes to see the Holy Prophet. He says, Ya Rasulullah, my sons have been converted by the Christian missionaries that have come. They began talking to them, they've converted them and they've taken them. Ya Rasulullah, I want to know, should I go and forcefully bring my sons back and make them accept the religion of Islam? This ayah comes down, La iqraha fi din. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Now, many people have this idea of this ayah. Its literal translation is, there is no compulsion in the religion. But that means there is no compulsion in the aqa'id, in the acceptance of the aqa'id. Once you're Muslim, then there is compulsion, because the Quran says, فَادْخُلِي فِي سِلْمِ كَافَةً. If you accept Islam, then you follow all its rules. There's no, I don't like this one, or I'm going to pick this one. This one doesn't match my fashion sense, or, this one I might get called a terrorist if I'm living in this country. No. It says if you want to join the religion, then you enter it wholly. This la ikraha fi din is in regards to other individuals. It's like, you see people say, well, I don't do hijab because la ikraha fi din, or I'm not going to stop listening to music because la ikraha fi din, or I don't want to pray because la ikraha fi din. But it doesn't apply here. It's not for the furu'. The Muslims must obey every rule of Islam. This is for the kuffar, those individuals that are kafir. But it also tells us that belief is connected to the heart of a person. You can't be forced. What the ayah is saying, you can't be forced. Not you can't force anyone to come to the religion. It says you can't be forced to accept iman. You can't be forced to believe. But it says, قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Though it is absolutely clear. It's clear for everyone. The people of intellect will be inclined towards this religion. It's like me saying to you, it's day outside. And you can see that it's day outside. Now I don't need to force you to do it because it's so clear to see. This ayah is saying, La iqraha fi din. That there's no compulsion because it's so clear to those that know. Other people, Abu Zar comes to the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet just speaks to him for a little while. He doesn't ask for a miracle. He doesn't ask for anything. And he accepts the religion because it's clear for him. Others, when people become really stubborn in their ways, then, they, no matter what evidences you give them, they don't want to change their ways. People like Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl, the Holy Prophet showed him miracle after miracle. He showed him different, logical proofs. He showed him miracles. He still said to him, no, you're a magician. You're a magician. So it's about, when we ask a question, we should also be willing to hear the answer, as a side point. Many a times, we just ask questions for the sake of asking a question, not being able to verify what's being said to me anyway. Or, many a times, it's just, I'm just wasting my time, idle talk. And even though I might be asking a question, if it's of no use to me, then that comes under idle talk. Comes under, and we've spoken about it, I don't want to go over it. So we want to look at 3 ways of achieving rushd, of achieving this success, this same success that the jinn speak about, this success that Allah speaks about in the Holy Quran, this success that Abu Abdullah is speaking about within his letter. The first place the first bit of advice in achieving rushd comes to us from the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Hujurat, ayah 7. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ وَزَيِّنَهُ في قلوبكم وكرح إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but Allah has endeared the faith to you and has made it seemly accepting within your hearts. And He has made you hateful, or He has made hateful to you disbelief, transgression, disobedience. These it is that are the followers, or these who do these actions are the followers of the right path, are those that have achieved rushd. Whoever doesn't like sin, whoever doesn't like guna, whoever is repulsed by sin, that individual is Rashid. Now it doesn't say that that person never sins. No, it's that they may sometimes slip up. But by and large, they hate the sin. They feel bad for doing it. They don't usually lie. But, every now and then, or, once they end up telling a lie, they feel bad for it. Allah says this person will still achieve that success because they feel bad for it. Or they sometimes, they're repulsed by ghibah, but every now and then, they might hear some ghibah and they feel bad for it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if they feel bad for it, then, that's the main point. A person that's a constant sinner, no, there's no way. Anyone that professes faith constantly sins, it doesn't match up. But this is about the person that's generally good. And every now and then they may slip up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but as long as you hate that sin, you can still achieve that maturity within your spiritual self. You can still achieve that total success, the same success that Abu Abdullah is speaking about. We have narrations that say, if you want to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then introspect. If you want to know Allah likes you, then look at yourself. Think to yourself. Look at the friends that surround you. And look at whom you love. If the people that you hold dear to yourself in your heart, or the people who you consider close to you, are actually bad people, know that Allah doesn't like you. And if the people that you have within your heart, that you hold dear to you, are people who, if you hold someone dear, sorry, please recite salawat. If you like those people that are good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes you. But if you find it in your heart that the people who you like are bad, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like you. It's a narration from the Imam. Quite a simple way. Who are the people that I hold dear in my life? Are they pop stars? Are they, sports personalities? Or are they friends that I perceive to be, very cool, or friends who have achieved, wealth in this world, but actually they don't pray? Because that's considered to be bad. Now, if I hold them dear in my life, or if they are the people who I consider to be close to me, then know that Allah doesn't like me. But rushd, or being able to, differentiate this idea of, liking individuals that are good and being able to achieve that success within myself also requires an element of action. I can't just say, all right, I hate this sin, I hate this sin. No, it requires me to act upon certain things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a couple of days ago, we spoke about this ayah from the Holy Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not allow you to achieve righteousness, or you will not be able to achieve righteousness until you give from that which you love. And when this ayah was revealed, many individuals came forward and they did infaq. They gave in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the individuals was Abu Talha Ansari. He came to the Holy Prophet. He used to own an orchard within which there was a spring that the Holy Prophet himself would go and do wudu from. So it had both worldly value, and it had value for the akhirah, that the Holy Prophet of Islam was utilizing the spring on this land. So when this ayah is revealed, he comes to the Holy Prophet, he says, Ya Rasulullah, I want to give this away, then give it to whomever you like. And the Holy Prophet says, why? He says, because this ayah says that you cannot achieve righteousness unless and until you give from that which you hold dear, from that which you love. He says, I love this garden a lot, so I want to give it to you. The Holy Prophet turns to him, he says, what a great business transaction you have gone through. For you have given this, but in the heavens you have taken for yourself something far greater. Similarly, when this ayah comes down, someone goes to Abu Dhar and says to Abu Dhar that, Abu Dhar, I need a camel. And Abu Dhar says to him, my camels are grazing outside this place. Go and choose whatever camel you want. So this individual goes and he looks around and he picks out the weakest, the smallest, the one that looks slightly ill, and he brings it. Says, Abu Dhar, I've chosen this. Abu Dhar says, why did you choose this one? He says, well, I thought maybe you might need the other ones, and they're nicer, they could come to your use. You know, it depends on the person as well. If the person has a little bit of shame, you know, Abu Zar saying to him, "Go take whatever you want," and he's gone and he's taken the one that's of less value. Sometimes you have people, you say to them, please, help yourself, and they look around and say, "Well, you know what? I'll take the most expensive item." Sometimes you go to some poor person's shop, and they often say to you, "No, please, you have something, take something." There's two things that you sit there and go, I'll go for this one. That looks quite expensive. At least, Or then you go for something that's somewhere in the middle of the row, or something that's cheap so that the person doesn't feel bad, but at the same time, you're not taking everything from them of value. Anyhow, so this individual, he has some shame, and he takes this one. Abu Zar says, "Why did you take this one?" He says, "You might need the other ones." He says, "Come with me." He grabs him by the hand, he takes him back to the herd. This is لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ, that you cannot achieve that righteousness. He takes him by the hand, he takes him inside the herd, and he looks for the strongest one, the fattest one, the healthiest one, and he goes, "There, take it. This is the one for you." And he gives it to them. He gives it to him. He says, "You take this. I'll keep this, a weaker one." The test within this ayah is something that we can use upon ourselves. That what is it that I give? When they ask for a clothing, when they're doing a clothing drive, what do I give? Do I give my oldest clothes? Those clothes that were slightly ripped, or I no longer fit in them, because either I've put on weight or I've lost weight, and I don't use them anymore? Or do I give them from that which I think is really nice? When people ask me for something, do I look for loose change that's lying around in my ashtray, or do I, sort of look and give them something that is dearer to me? This righteousness cannot be achieved when an individual does not give from that which he loves. This iman in the heart that exists, when this iman takes root in the heart of an individual, that's when he's able to achieve. So he starts to hate sin, but at the same time he acts towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he slips up, he feels bad for it. This is what the ayah of Surah Hujurat is saying. That it's okay, you can achieve rushd even if you slip up every now and then, as long as you feel bad, as long as you turn back, as long as you feel guilty about it and you ask Allah for forgiveness, you can still achieve that rushd. You can still achieve that total success. So the first characteristic, or the first way to achieve rushd, total success, is by loving iman and hating kufr, hating sin. By having that love of the faith, as is set out in the ayah of Surah Hujurat, loving the faith, but at the same time hating kufr, hating sin. The second way to achieve this rushd is through the way of Ahlul Bayt. In Ziyarat Jami' al-Kabira, Imam al-Hadi salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, the Imam has one line in there where Ziyarat Jami'ah, those of you that have not read it, those that have gone to Mashhad will have read it. It's one of the recommended ziyarah to recite at the grave of Imam al-Radha. But it's recommended to recite everywhere. It is a ziyarah that explains the whole, all the characteristics of the Imams. Where the Imam is saying, وَمُخْتَلِفِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, you are the place where the malaika are constantly descending. This itself is not just the malaika coming every now and then. No, it's talking about a constant nuzul, a constant coming down of the malaika to it. And then, couple it with the hadith of the A'immah, where they say not a single amr is enacted by a malak upon the earth by the order of God, except that they come to us, the Ahlul Bayt, and ask for permission to continue to enact that action. Not a single drop of rain falls from the heavens, except that it's carried in the hand of an angel. And that angel, before it carries it to the earth, comes to the hujjah of Allah upon the earth to ask for permission. So within Ziyarat Jami'ah, one of the lines that Imam al-Hadi says, he says, وَأَمْرُكُمْ رُشْدٌ. Your amr, your command and obedience to your command is success. Obedience to Ahl al-Bayt is where one can achieve that total success. There's a companion of the sixth Imam that comes to him. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, he says, my children, they laugh at me. He says, because I hold the Majlis of Aba Abdullah in my house. They say to me that these things are gone, they're old. These are what people did previously. We need to change with the times. We need to modernize. Don't hold this Majlis anymore. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, what should I do? The Imam looks at him. He says, Da'in nas. He says, leave all of mankind. Leave the people. You come with us. If you stay with us, regardless of what the people say, we will take you to success. Another one of the companions of the sixth Imam, the seventh Imam, and the eighth Imam, by the name of Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman, he once comes to meet Imam al-Radha, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. And by this time, society had actually turned against him. Because he was known to be one of the lovers of Ahl al-Bayt, everyone had sort of turned away from him. Everyone was sort of spreading rumors about him, making him the butt of jokes and things like that. And they were really humiliating him within society. And his name was not considered to be of the people that are good. One day he comes to visit the Imam. And he's telling the Imam about his problems and, all these people. At that moment, one of the messengers comes in and says, Imam, there are people here from Basra to visit you. Imam looks at Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman. He says, you go in the other room. Because the Imam knows that society is so against him, there may be something that will be said against him that he will be upset. So Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman goes to the room in the house, but in the other room, these individuals come in, Salaamu Alaikum, the usual greetings and things, and they begin to now curse Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman. They say, Imam, he's like this, he's like this. As much as they could say, they said, Imam stayed silent. When they got up and left, now Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman comes in, tears in his eyes. He says, Imam, you see what happened, all this that they're saying about you. They don't know how much I love you, how much I care for you, Ahl al-Bayt, how much my life is willing to be sacrificed upon him. Imam looks at him, and with tears in the eyes, the Imam has tears in his eyes. He says to him, is it not enough for you, Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman, that you know that your Imam is satisfied with you? Who cares about the rest of society? As long as your Imam is satisfied with you. He says, as long as we are satisfied with you, then what else do you want? Whatever the world may say. What's important is that we achieve the happiness of our Imam. And through that connection, we will achieve success. Do I have that relationship with the Imam of my time? That my Imam could say, is it not enough that we love you? Or is it that I will wait for when he reappears and hopefully I'll join his army? The Imam is saying to you, look, the whole of society is turned against Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman. Everyone is against him. I'm saying, forget everyone else. It should be enough for you that we are satisfied with you. We are happy with you. And these same lines Sayyid al-Shuhada is saying in his letter to the people of Basra. In tuti'u amri ahdikum sabil al-rashad. that if you obey my commands, if you listen to what I have to say, I will take you towards rushd. I will take you to this total success. This success where you are perfect in every spiritual aspect of your life. So the second way to achieve rushd is through the love of Ahlul Bayt. The third way to achieve rushd is through dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يُرْشَدُونَ. That, and if they come and ask you concerning me, then tell them, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Because the people came to the Holy Prophet in the early days and they said, Ya Rasulullah, is Allah far away that we need to shout, or is He near that we must whisper? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies with this ayah. Say to them, surely, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, that I am near. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Says, I hear the calls of every single one that calls out to me. So tell them, فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي, to pray, to call out to me. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي, and have iman in me. And if they do this, then I will take them towards rushd. I will take them towards that total success. Dua, every single aspect of my life, let me ask Allah for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Nabi Musa, He says, Musa, ask me for even for the salt that goes in your food. Sometimes we think that, no, this dua is too trivial. I don't want to ask this dua. I'll wait for my big du'as. Those are what I'll ask. Allah is saying, Musa, even pray to me for the salt that goes on your food. That everything that I do, if I get up in the morning, oh Allah, make this day successful. I get in the car, oh Allah, make this journey safe. If I get to work, oh Allah, give me barakah in my work. If I sit down to eat, or that evening's meal I know I need to eat at home, oh Allah, let there be food at home when I get back. Oh Allah, let me have something nice. Every aspect of my life surrounding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying to Allah for everything. I've given you the example here in Shahr Ramadan, that's the types of du'as that we do. They don't have true yaqeen in there. That I raise my hand, Ya Allah, I have this economic problem in my life. Please help me. You've got 1 week. If not, I'll go to the guy I went to last time. Yeah? And that is the style of dua that we do. That at the back of our mind, we're thinking about another human being. And then we're like, why is Allah not answering my dua? Because my reliance has become upon someone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when my every aspect, everything that I do, if I'm asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then He will take me towards total success. Then I'll have the equilibrium in my soul. That I can recite Quran but also be good to my family. I recite Salah and do my fasts and have good akhlaq. This is rushd. That on every aspect, every point of a person's life, they achieve absolute perfection. There isn't any compromising. There isn't that I need to go to work today, so I'm not going to pray because I'm late for work. There's no compromising on the religion. There's no, I need to pray, at this point and this person is in my way, so I'm going to be rude to them. There's no compromise. When a person achieves this rushd, when a person achieves this success that Abu Abdullah is offering, they become perfect. They enter into a state of equilibrium. They become satisfied within themselves. Nothing is in excess, and there isn't anything that is less within them. There's absolute balance. They never become too angry that they lose control. or at the same time they never become so, they control their anger to such an extent that now when someone is disrespecting the religion of Allah, they don't feel that anger, or that they become weak or cowardly. They have courage, but at the same time they have generosity. They have strength, but at the same time they have mercy. They have knowledge, but at the same time they have patience. These are all godly aspects. These are all godly attributes. Alhamdulillahi alladhi, alhamdulillahi ala hilmihi ba'da ilmih. That praise be to the one that has hilm, has patience even after possessing knowledge. Or the one that has mercy, is patient even after having the strength to punish. This is where an individual needs to reach. He needs to strive towards that absolute success. And all three of these aspects, the aspect of loving Iman, hating disbelief and sin, loving Iman, bringing that Iman into the heart. The second aspect of obedience to Ahlul Bayt. And the third of dua. These three things will help a person achieve rushd, and all three of these things were present within Karbala, within the companions of Abu Abdullah. If it's about that love of faith and Iman, then it's Imam's leaving of Medina and Mecca in order to come and stand against disbelief in Karbala, in order to show that he was opposing this. If it is about obedience to the Imam, then every single individual in that army of the Imam is willing and ready to give everything for the Imam. People like Sa'd ibn Abdullah, he stands in front of the Imam while the Imam prays Salah. He runs from left to right as they're firing arrows at the Imam. When the Imam finishes and Sa'd falls into the lap of the Imam, Imam says to him, Sa'd, is there any last request? Is there anything that you want from me? He says, yes, Yabna Rasulillah, answer one question for me. Awafaytu, have I fulfilled my oath of loyalty to you? Have I been loyal to you, Yabna Rasulillah? If it's dua that you seek, then look at Zainab run out on Asr Ashur, place her hands under the body of Abu Abdullah. Allahumma taqabbal minna. Oh Allah, accept from me. Or look at how Hussein runs out in front of, behind Ali Akbar. Oh Allah, bear witness that this nation kills that son of mine that resembled the Prophet of Allah. Oh Allah, cut off their lines as they cut off their lineage as they cut off my lineage. All three are present in Karbala. All three of them, every single individual drowned in the love of Abu Abdullah. Even those that were the youngest. From the 6th night onwards, it is tradition for us to begin the masa'ib of the family of Ahlul Bayt, of the family of Abu Abdullah. And tonight we remember those two sons of Hazrat Zainab. Those sons that Zainab prepared from Shab-e Ashur, from the moment they reached the plains of Karbala. See, when Abu Abdullah left Medina, Hazrat Zainab went alone. Awan and Muhammad did not accompany their mother. But when Hazrat Abdullah heard of Abu Abdullah being forced out of Mecca, he sent Awan and Muhammad and he said, go and accompany your uncle on his journey. And so these two sons of Sayyidah Zainab reach Karbala with Abu Abdullah. Shab-e Ashur you hear that every mother was preparing a child. This is the love of Iman, the hatred of sin. That they knew that across from them stood the army of sin. Every mother preparing her child, showing love towards her child, saying, tomorrow, make sure you go out and give your life for Abu Abdullah. And Zainab is doing the same with both her sons. Sitting with Awan and Muhammad. Maybe turning to Awan, maybe turning to Muhammad, that make sure tomorrow that you go out and you give your life for your uncle. I don't want it to be the case that any of the sons of Abu Abdullah are hurt before you go out and fight. The day of Ashura dawns, and Awan and Muhammad come to Imam al-Hussein. There are certain individuals in the plains of Karbala who, when they came to ask for permission from Abu Abdullah, they say that the color from the face of Abu Abdullah drained. That this state, the hal of Abu Abdullah began to change. The first of those is Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Qasim comes, Abu Abdullah grabs Qasim, he holds him, they both weep, فَغُشِيَ عَلَيْهِمَا, they both faint. The other is when Ali Akbar comes. Imam gives Ali Akbar permission straight away, but the Maqtal says, فَنَظَرَ عَيْسٍ مِّنْهِ, Hussein looks towards his son with sorrow in his eyes. The other is when Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas comes to ask for permission. They say that Hussein said, Abbas, Anta sahibu liwa'i wa anta kabshu katibati. That Abbas, you are the flag bearer of my army. Abbas, you are the general of my army. How can I let you go? And then the other time is when these two sons of Zainab come. He looks towards them. He says that you are the only memory, the only children of my sister Zainab. Don't come and ask me for permission. Both go back to their mother. Zainab sends them back. Abu Abdullah does not give them permission. They say it is only until Zainab calls out from the tent, oh Abu Abdullah, oh brother, why will you not accept my sacrifice as well? Abu Abdullah gives them permission. First, Muhammad goes out to fight. Muhammad fights bravely. He reaches the banks of Furat. He fights. There they kill Muhammad. Muhammad falls. He calls out, Ya Am Adrikni. But before Abu Abdullah can go, the Maqtal says that Awan runs out. He chases the individual that killed his brother. He kills his brother. He kills the killer of his brother, and then returns back to the Imam of his time. He says, Ya Abu Abdullah, forgive me. I went without your permission. Oh uncle, I'm asking you now, give me permission to go out and fight. Abu Abdullah holds his nephew. Again he weeps, holding his nephew. He tells him, go, I've given you permission. Now Awan goes out and fight. He fights bravely. Again they surround him. He kills many of the enemy of the army of Yazid. They surround him from every angle. They strike him on the head. He also falls to the plains of Karbala. He calls out, Ya Am Adrikni. Oh uncle, come to my aid. Abu Abdullah runs out into the battlefield. He gets to the body of Muhammad. He collects it. He brings it back to the tent. He goes now to the body of Awan. He brings the body of Awan back to the tent. Abu Abdullah places these two bodies in the tent. The women gather, they begin to cry. Abu Abdullah looks around for Zainab. Zainab usually is in front of everyone. Whenever one of the shuhada comes, Zainab is the first to come and mourn. Zainab is the first to come and do matam, but he does not see Zainab. The Maqtal says Abu Abdullah lay down on the earth of Karbala between the two bodies of Awan and Muhammad. They say Abu Abdullah would turn left and hold on to the body of Awan. He would place his cheek on the cheek of Awan. He would kiss him. He would turn to the right and take the body of Muhammad. He would kiss him, place his cheek on his cheek. He wept holding both these sons of his. He stands up eventually. He calls out, he says, Zainab, where are you? Zainab, you have given condolences to everyone. Zainab, come now to Hussein and take condolences for your sons. Ala la'anatullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, keep our ulama and our maraji at the head of our institutions. Oh Allah, keep safety as a dad of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Oh Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu around the world. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true waiters. At the end, there is a request for Dua Sahat for Kadhim Agha and Shaheen Jafari. Please join me in reciting 3 times Dua Amma Yujibu. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mudtarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد. There's a request for the recitation of Surah Fatiha for Marhuma Sabira bint Sultan Ali, as well as a few other individuals have contacted us for the deaths of loved ones that have passed away today and a couple of days back. For this marhuma, for your marhumin, for those that have no one to recite Fatiha for them, please recite Surah Al-Fatiha followed by 3 times Surah Ikhlas. But before that, the loudest of your salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.